All right. I know you can hear me now. I had to reboot my iPad. Thanks, Brandon, for letting me know. Can you hear me now? 440, 441. Brandon, let me know if you can hear me now. Please. All right. All right. I'll go into YouTube. Well, I see it moving. I know people can hear me now. Because I see my avatar moving. Hi there. Hi, Babrin. Can you hear me? Can you put a 1 or a yes or a no? Oh, God, my nose. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Yay. All right. All right. So does anyone want to come up on panel and discuss fire? For those of you that haven't heard, in the Swiss Alps, at the Krones Montana, there in Switzerland, at La Constellation Bar. Oh, good. You want to come up, Babrin? There was a horrible fire, and now they presume 47 are passed. All right, let me put the link in. 115 injured. 50 of those I heard last night. I've been following it since New Year's Eve. 50 are in specialized critical burn hospitals. 50. It's a lot. Okay, let's see. Pass out. What? Oh, did they pass out? Some passed out, some died. A lot of them are put in comas. They're younger, ages 15 to about 20. So let me put my link in. And you tell me, Bayron, or anyone else that wants to come up, what you think of pyrotechnics being allowed in bars, which I'm not agreeing with at all anymore. Okay, it's in there. Now what? What's going on here? Oh, there. Okay, I had to hit it from that end. What is don't get it? Wait a minute. What is don't get it? Yeah, so there's my link. There was a really bad fire on New Year's Eve about 1:30 in the morning, and a lot of young folk there. Apparently the drinking age is 16. But there's speculation that maybe people were being served at a younger age. And yeah. So we'll see if somebody grabs that link. I'm gonna grab my soda. Nobody wants to come up? Pyrotechnics are used in many places, and there was a horrible fire in Rhode Island in 2003. People were watching I thought it was Great White. I think they're called White Snake, a band from the 80s. 70 people did not get out. I got 61 watching. I'm in shock with all of these technical difficulties. Turn on my camera. Oop. Hi, everybody. Might have it go this way. So I went and I listened to my video and I could hear the music, which surprised me. But then I couldn't hear my voice. But now I have my sound in. Let's see what angle I want this to be. Maybe like that. I don't know. So yeah, I just wanted to discuss it, you guys. 74 watching now. I think it's pretty serious. And it doesn't let you in. I'll type it in again. You've got to grab the link. Grab the link once I get it in here again. And there we go. And okay. It goes back into the screen when you go for it. Weird. That's really weird. I don't know. So when you hit on it, You're not able to. LOL. Hi, W12 Oath or F. Hello. So you're not able to grab it? Okay. Thank you for trying. Hello. Yeah, Bayron wanted to come up and discuss pyrotechnics, which are really dangerous. You still can't? Oh, dear. Same. Oh, same. I can't. Wow. I can't get a fingernail underneath it. They're too short. What? I'm confused. Maybe I have to have a different layout. Oops. Let me see what happens when I hit the layout. Like for two people, cropped layout. That didn't even really work. But my thing is charged now, so oh my God, what the heck. Hello from San Francisco, California. Hi, Philly. Wait, I have an idea, says Bayron. Well, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. Oops. Let me hit the StreamYard. Is this going to make it bigger? Remove from stage, mute. I'm still learning. Every man I meet is scared of his wife, including Mass 865. So do I have a computer? No, I'm on an iPad. I'm having a bad hair day too. Trying to figure out what I want to do with it. Oh, it's a bob and it's kind of growing in between stages. That might be better. No, I'm on an iPad. Well, we can just talk right here. People don't have to come up on panel. I don't know why it's not working. And also my, let me see. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, at least that's there. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and, why is that like that? Oh, the screen is supposed to go the other way, I think. All right, hang on a second. No, it didn't. Now I'm upright again. Maybe this just has to be add item. Oh, you guys, ridiculous. Redo. No. Uh-oh. Now what? Phone or something to show us the link from the iPad. Marlin Starr, bet you were a fox. Yeah, I used to be a fox. Oh, God. What is going on? I don't want to add an item. Dynamic camera grid. Camera slot, medium slot. What? Oh my God, what's happening? Try. Got it. Ugh, look at this crap. All right, let me get out of here. Guys, this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't want to save this. I don't want to. What is that? Hold on. Camera settings, layout. Oh, cinema layout. Spotlight layout. News layout. What is this? Save? Oh, you guys, I'm so confused. I don't know why everything's okay. I'm gonna reboot just to get rid of these two little things in the middle of the picture. And then I'm gonna show some footage of the fire so you all know what I'm talking about. Wow, that's about as much fussing as I can do in one day. Okay, so you can turn the camera to the link from another device. I don't have another device. I use a flip phone, which is in the kitchen. Yeah. Cherry Pepsi. Oh my God, I hope it doesn't explode. I put it in the freezer. Oh, thank God. The other day it did. Went all over the ceiling in the kitchen, all over the walls. All right. Oh, crap. Okay. I just wish I could make this bigger. I used to be able to. Oh, I know how. No, see how small it is? Why is it like that? It used to be big, long. Okay, let me do this. Copyright disclaimers on there, that going along the top. And I've been monetized now for a little over a month. Thing about the fire, it's sad and scary. It really is. We had a kitchen fire here once, and it was flippin' horrific. I mean, I didn't even think to get a wet cloth and put it over my nose and mouth. I was just like holding my breath and running to the window to rescue our kitties and our 2 little guinea pigs that we had back then. And there was a fire extinguisher right outside the door. It's just, and I didn't know how to use it, but a neighbor ran up after the whole stove and oven was on fire, and rice cooker caught fire. So it happened in your home. Yeah. Had one in the home about 12 years ago, because I've lived in this apartment for a long time with my kids are adults now. So a mother had her son on her phone, and she found out today that he's deceased. Really, really sad. The last 16 victims included 2 Swiss girls aged 15, a Swiss woman aged 22, and a Swiss and French woman aged 24, 2 Italian girls aged 16, and there's even more. So this is Sky News. This is the first 4 victims of the Swiss bar fire. I have to make sure ads don't come on.
The first 4 victims of the New Year's Day fire here in the Swiss Alps. They are 2 Swiss women, aged 16 and 21, and 2 Swiss men, aged 16 and 18. Their bodies have been handed over to their families. Their names have not been announced. And forensic specialists are still trying to identify other bodies. Around 40 people died and 119 were injured when an inferno erupted in the early hours of New Year's Day. For families and friends, the wait is agonising to know what's happened to their loved ones. And I've been speaking to a friend of the security guard from the bar.
I sent him a message telling him that I love him and that we are waiting for some news.
But no reply.
No reply.
Edoni tells me it's unbearable not knowing what's happened to Stefan, who's 31 years old. It's so hard to be looking at that photo and not knowing.
That's the most difficult part.
This was you a previous New Year's Eve?
Yes.
Last year?
Yes, at the same bar, the Constellation.
Is it hard to comprehend seeing all this?
Yeah, of course it is. We think about all the families waiting for someone, or knowing that they have lost someone, and it's of course difficult.
I suppose you're hoping that you aren't having to be mourning.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Okay, so
Everybody knows that the place to find a place is a
see, why does this? Let me mute while that happens.
Me with my friend from the beginning, we just wanted to go in because we had friends there. And I forced it because I just needed to go to the bathroom so badly. And we went downstairs. I saw a friend of mine, and like we saw the fire, and we went straight up. And like, I took my friend's arm. But like, after that, I went up the stairs, I let go of him. Now he doesn't answer me anymore.
Thank you, Bayron. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you. That's so sweet.
Yes, my parents were there too. I called them right after I said, well, get out of there. And they came and they didn't let go of us. But we all saw really horrible things that no one would have wanted to see.
This was New Year's Eve. I'll show you some videos of 4 days ago. They have half of the
I was
deceased.
still pretty close to the stairs. So, in fact, there are like the first few stairs to go up, and then there's the whole aisle to go down, and then there are 5 stairs to go back down. And in fact, it was really at the level of these 5 stairs that it was the worst. Because, well, in themselves, in fact, the stairs, the first stairs are quite easy to go up, let's say, because they're wide. That's it. But in fact, aft, well, it's the little door that, in fact, everyone was pushing each other. And suddenly, well, in fact, we all fell. We were piled up on top of each other. Some were on fire, and some were already dead right beside us.
Jeez.
I know a guy, it's the same. He couldn't get out, and he just sat down, and he held a cross in his hand and just dodged the fire. The fire just didn't touch him. The fire was all around him, but not on him. And he survived. Luckily, he managed to get away and broke a window to escape.
Wow.
For me, the reason I'm here tonight is because I just want to thank the Lord for saving me, and I'll also ask him to save my friends who are missing, because it's horrible, because I miss him. I don't want to lose more people because I've already lost people. We're still looking for more. And I don't want to because I've already been so scared. Scared for myself, scared for my friends, scared for everyone inside. I have friends at the hospital, friends everywhere.
Kind of dark.
Well, we all have parents. My children who are coming in today are older.
It's
They've celebrated
nighttime.
New Year's Eve in the same place for years. So it could have been our children. Also, we put ourselves in the shoes of the parents who lost their children last night, and it's just horrible.
Mm-hmm.
outside. Some went up in flames. Some were injured. We don't know where. Some of them are missing. We pray for them, and it's a shock. Of course, we don't know where our friends are. We saw that they unfortunately fell, and then seeing these scenes with people who were burned, all that going out, it was very, very shocking. And for me, it's true that I went out, my friends were waiting for me outside, and then I got down on my knees in front of them because I was happy to be out. We tried to get out. I had to lay down the table. I hid behind the table to avoid getting burned. People were trying to exit, and then it was chaos. End of story.
Yes, that's it. In fact, it's the hot one. Let's say you order a table with bottles. A hot one arrives, and in fact, the hot one was when a lady climbed onto the shoulders of another with 2 bottles and fireworks, some birthday ones, leaking flames. And in fact, she waved them too high, which caused them to hit the ceiling and suddenly caught fire.
You were surprised by the suddenness of this fire in this ceiling that was burning. We shouted, "Fire, fire," and then we thought it was a joke.
Oh, you guys. Story of my life. Oh, wait.
And then we thought it was a joke or that it wasn't necessarily serious. And then suddenly, a very big cloud of black smoke. We couldn't breathe anymore. And then in our heads, we had to get out. And everyone went out, but it formed a crowd, so we couldn't get out. So we tried to hide. And when
Oh, God. That's my stupid tremors.
I went back upstairs, I thought to myself that either I was going to die or I was going to manage to get out, but the only way was to go through a window, but the windows were blocked. So I grabbed a table, tried to break it against the window, but it didn't succeed. And I thought to myself that, well, I was going to die. In the end, I was able to kick the window, causing it to fall. We then exited the vehicle and we successfully helped everyone else out. It's true that I lost my shoes, I lost my coat, I lost everything, material, but in the end, that's not what matters. Well, I am still alive, and we're praying for all those who are left behind.
Well, the night before, there was a table next to us that had the same show. So this is a common occurrence, but apparently it wasn't done on purpose, let's say. I think she bought a few too many bottles. And then, yeah, these are things that can happen, but I think it was mostly an unintentional mistake. It was really a battle to be the first one out and get through, let's say. Everyone to their own skin. I was already outside, so I could see the stairs were full. Some people were jumping over them to try to get through. It was like a nightmare, let's say, because we could also see everyone walking around with their clothes all torn, completely panicked, screaming. It should have been a nightmare. You can see that it was clearly very complicated to get out. Were there emergency exits or just the main entrance? No emergency exit?
I had to make one myself by breaking a window. Yeah? But there was no light, no excitation light, as it says. There was nothing written, and there was really so much smoke that we couldn't see anything. And half the people were choking at the same time. These were young people. We're talking about teenagers. There were a lot of teenagers. Some of them don't necessarily pay attention to age here. They tell us, yeah, you're an adult, but there are plenty who aren't. And then we know some younger people than us who unfortunately got away with it because people weren't careful. There weren't enough people. Security was very, very badly managed that night because there were bouncers, yes, but they didn't necessarily do their job very well. When we shouted fire, fire, they went in just to see where the fire was, and then they left themselves. It was catastrophic.
Oh,
We were in
gosh.
Montana, but there were people there, they were panicking. Well, the information came right away. We started running, and we got there in front of Constellation, but it was already completely blocked. There were the police, the ambulance, and you could see people screaming. They were running. People were also putting their body parts in the snow because they weren't burning. They were burned. We also saw bodies. I don't know if they were dead or not. I have no idea, but there were people who were in the bar in front of it, and they were covered. My friends are in the hospital. Some we haven't heard from, and some are fine. It depends on what they did, where they were at the time.
Whoa. The bodies were laying there behind these white sheets for like 3 days or something.
We've now heard from police they've been able to identify the
Did we hear this one? I think so.
My first question to you, can you tell us what you saw in the moments after the blast and the fire?
The thing is, just before I was at the restaurant just next to the Constellation, and a friend told me there is an explosion inside the Constellation and 2 deaths at the moment. So I went out to see what happened, and I saw the fire inside the place, and a lot of people was screaming, and it was a bit horrible.
And so you headed to the bar. When you got there, what did you see? How were people trying to escape?
They tried to escape at the principal entry. Yeah. But the thing is, there were a lot of people at the entry trying to escape, and it was full, and people was walking on everybody, you know, trying to escape, and a lot of people was screaming, trying to escape, and I saw a lot of people on the floor, and I think these people was dead because someone put jackets on the face, so it was a bit horrible. Yeah, the cops was there, the ambulance was there, everyone was there, and it was a bit was horrible. Yeah, there was a lot of people was screaming.
And what you have seen, Samuel, this must have been particularly difficult for you. You were saying there that you saw dead bodies.
Yeah, I seen the fire inside, and yeah, like I told you before, yeah, people screaming, a lot of people without hair, because it was, they were burning all the body. When they went out, some people was without clothes, and yeah, that's what I saw. I didn't saw that much, but that's what I saw for the moment. At the moment.
And Samuel, we know that the resort is really popular with visitors from around the world. Did you recognise or hear different languages being spoken?
You said if there is a lot of people from other country, was there?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Because Montana is a big station where everyone in the world is coming here. And yeah, a lot of people from England, from Netherlands, around Switzerland coming here. And yeah, that's a bit that's horrible for the family because the people was like between 16 and 18. It's horrible.
When the fire broke out, Samuel, did you notice that there was staff or emergency responders there quick enough directing people?
Can you repeat, please? I didn't really understand.
Of course. When the fire broke out, did you notice that there were staff from the bar helping people to get out?
I didn't know. I didn't saw. I don't know.
Okay. And what about emergency services? Were they quick? Did you feel that their presence were quickly noticed?
I know there is just front of the restroom. There is an escape, and just front of the Constellation, you have 2 escape, but it's little escape. It's not that big, so I think it was difficult to escape from the place.
You mentioned earlier, Samuel, about the exits being blocked. Did that mean that people were finding it difficult to get out of the bar?
Yeah, it was difficult for them because a lot of people was on the floor, and a lot of people was trying to escape on them. They were walking on them, so yeah, it was really difficult to get out. That's what I saw.
That's what happened.
How did you help when you arrived there and you realised what was happening?
At the station fire in Rhode Island.
The security was around, and I can't. I was
2003.
try to help because the cops was there, and they said, you can come and just stay far from here.
And after you left the bar, because I know that you were in a nearby restaurant.
Yeah.
Tell me about the emergency services and those helping. What did you make of that?
I saw a lot of ambulance, a lot of cops, and helicopters, and it was amazing because a lot of cops and ambulance was coming. And, that's why I know. What can I say? That's how I know it was really important thing what happened inside.
And you know, this was meant to be a moment of celebration for people to enjoy New Year's Eve. I just wonder your reflections on something like this, so devastating.
So can you repeat? Sorry.
This was meant to be a time of celebration, and it turned into a disaster. I wonder your thoughts.
Yeah, nobody was thinking it could happen at the New Year's Eve. It's horrible, you know, and everyone was shocked, and all the party around the concession was a bit, how you say that, all the people just left all the bar or the restaurant because to saw what happened, and how you say that, l'ambiance, how you say that.
Ambulance.
I don't know how you say, but everyone was a bit sad at the moment, and everyone stopped partying.
Love the accent.
Okay, Samuel, thank you so much for talking to us.
Lord. So,
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running. That's why.
I don't know why not a single one of my regulars are not in here. I must have top or some weird chat thing on. I just don't know, you guys. Still learning. I'm still learning after 2.5 years. Is it going? All right, I'm gonna check something, okay? I'll be right back. I'm gonna make sure this is playing all right on my regular YouTube channel. Be right back. Oh my goodness gracious. It was on Top Chat. Now it's on regular chat. Anyway, yeah. So, just bringing you a little bit of footage on here.
Big vendors don't answer their phones because it's too expensive and they don't.
It's nighttime.
Ce qu'on a vu déjà, on était extrêmement choqués parce que on est arrivé au tout début. En fait, on est arrivé au tout début de l'incident. Les pompiers, la police n'étaient pas encore arrivés. Au début, on a vu une grosse foule et des cris. On a vu des gens taper aux vitres du bar en fait. Et là, on a tourné la tête. On a vu des gens brûler, mais.
Okay, so I'm going to read what he is saying. I'll turn it way down because it's in French. Okay, this guy is French. And I'm going to read. He's very upset and sad and traumatized for life, he says. What we saw was extremely shocking because we arrived right at the beginning. In fact, we arrived at the very start of the incident. The firefighters and the police hadn't arrived yet. At first, we saw a large crowd and shouting. We saw people banging on the bar windows, and then we turned our heads and saw people burned so badly. They had no hair, no clothes. They were completely burned. It was really frightening and incredibly shocking. This guy is 22 years old. This was a day or so ago. See, they have the white sheets up. After that, we quickly realized and couldn't just let it go. People were in such distress that we could hear enormous screams. Two friends of mine went to get them. They went into the bar without a second thought and grabbed a guy they found on the floor. They carried him out of the bar. One of my friends stayed with him for an hour and a half, telling him, "It's going to be okay. Don't worry." Actually, in the bar, everyone was burned. It was really shocking, and I don't know why, but we were a group of 5 guys, and we were so upset. We said, we can't let this happen. That's when we went to get blankets. People were freezing. Like I said, we ran all over town to the surrounding bars to get blankets and water too. People were really happy about that. I gave them my jacket. I could see that the person was really in distress.
Ça, les gens, ils étaient vraiment contents. Moi, j'ai donné ma veste. J'ai bien vu que fait, la personne était vraiment en détresse.
They closed the restaurants and the stores and things on the same street.
On est allé dans le bar la veille.
We were there the day before, and it's true that the bar is actually a basement. It's a basement. You can only get down by a small staircase, and it's really cramped. We didn't see anyone. Well, actually, we heard people banging on the windows because there's a kind of terrace around it, and people were banging on the glass, and that's when we realized there was a big problem. I think they managed to break some of the windows and get some people out, but they were already badly burned. What shocks me the most are the images that stay with me. The people burned so badly you couldn't even recognize them. In fact, people were burning, bald, their hair burned, their hands burned. You could see skin dripping off. That was truly shocking. That's what stays with me, and I think it will stay with me for the rest of my life. Then there were also the screams, the people crying all around. Trigger warning.
Il y avait aussi les cris, les personnes qui pleuraient autour.
Personally, I think I'll be traumatized for life. It might also be a way for me to grieve or move on, but it's mainly why I'm here today. Oh my goodness gracious, I just don't know.
My first question to you, can you tell us what you saw in the moment?
Okay, this is India Times. What caused the fire? I just touched the bottom of the thing again. So this is footage from down in the basement for those who haven't seen, where the fire started and went up to the top floor too on New Year's Eve. See the music still going? People are dancing and going slice, slice. Filming instead of leaving. I don't know what that says. Because it's like backwards on the screen. I'm trying to show you the footage. That's inside the terrace part of the bar, the front part. Things melted. Shoes were laying around. This was New Year's Eve at 1:30 in the morning, you guys. An hour and a half after people were on the streets all excited and dancing at midnight when they rang in the new year. Okay, so
question to you. Can you tell us
Mm.
what you
In the Swiss Alps, it arrived with flames, screams, and chaos. In the luxury ski resort of Crans, Montana, a night meant for celebration collapsed into horror when fire tore through a packed bar just after midnight. At Les Constellations, where young tourists and resort workers had gathered to welcome 2026, the countdown ended in catastrophe. Survivors describe a scene that is almost impossible to imagine. Flames engulfed the wooden ceilings within seconds, igniting what firefighters call a flashover, a sudden and violent spread of fire that left little time for escape. Smoke filled the narrow staircases and crowded hallways, and chaos erupted as people desperately tried to flee.
I'm still in shock. I just can't quite comprehend what actually took place. I feel as if this is all just a terrible nightmare and that I'll soon wake up. Throughout the entire night, I didn't manage to sleep for even a single second. I simply couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, everything kept coming back to me because I witnessed people being resuscitated. I saw individuals who were completely burned. I also saw people who were in the process of dying. Honestly, it was quite complicated and truly difficult, you could say, to fully process.
So on the roof, it's the 7.
I was standing right outside. I just saw a really massive bright red light coming from inside the bar, and it was completely filled with so much dust. And then I witnessed people pushing and shoving, tumbling down the stairs. To save oneself, we could say. Pause. There, it was the first one out. The first one to save himself, we could say. Pause. Honestly, it was a tragic sight to witness because some people were being trampled, especially since I know that some tried to get out and unfortunately perished inside.
Authorities say the fire is being treated as a tragic accident. A birthday candle placed on a champagne bottle may have sparked the blaze, though investigations are ongoing. Regional prosecutors and police have ruled out any attack, emphasizing that
That
the
was at
disaster was
midnight
not
in the
deliberate.
bar.
But no explanation can ease the shock or the grief. The human cost is staggering. Police report that around 40 people are dead and 115 more
47
injured,
now.
many severely. Hospitals in the Valais canton were quickly overwhelmed. Intensive care units filled to capacity, and patients had to be transferred across Switzerland and even into Italy, where a burns unit in Milan has taken in 22 patients, many aged 16 to 26.
We are reporting about 40 fatalities and around
47
115
now.
injured, most of them seriously. I would like to remind you that for the purposes of the investigation, Grand Central Street will remain closed until further notice. In the immediate future, and for the days ahead, our priority will be placed on identifying the deceased individuals so that their remains can be swiftly returned to their families. It was around 1:30 in the morning when smoke was first spotted emanating from a bar located in the very heart of the Crown Resort. Just a few seconds later, a witness quickly contacted the operations center of the Valais Cantonal Police to report this growing fire. Ici, dit compte. Immediately, the red alert, which is meant to mobilize firefighters, was triggered. Less than a minute later, at 1:32 in the morning, the first police patrols arrived on the scene, namely the gendarmerie and the intercommunal police of Crans, Montana. Simultaneously, firefighters rapidly brought the fire under control and secured the area. Subsequently, the preliminary investigations could finally get underway. In parallel, various reception centers were established to provide care for the injured, as well as for the families of the victims.
The lead that is currently being given preference is the one suggesting a widespread generalized conflagration, which ultimately led to a powerful and destructive blast. Several witnesses have been interviewed and the phones have also been recovered for analysis. And finally, regarding the narrowness of the staircase, I saw the staircase. I also observed that on site. What is a narrow staircase? Ultimately, the investigation will also be there to determine if all safety standards have been respected or if that's not the case.
The tragedy is international in scope. At least 16 Italian nationals are reported missing, while French nationals were among the injured. Families across Europe now wait anxiously for news. Swiss President Guy Parmelin called the fire one of the worst tragedies our country has ever experienced, highlighting the scale of devastation and the loss of so many young lives. His words echo a sentiment shared worldwide.
The circumstances that bring us together on this first day of the new year in the Valais capital are truly dramatic. The fire, which occurred last night in a bar in Crans-Montana, represents one of the worst tragedies that our country has ever experienced. The events that have taken place here this evening within the confines of this public institution represent a tragedy of an unprecedented and truly frightening magnitude. Many lives, most of them young, have been tragically lost. 100 people were injured, many of them seriously. And behind these figures, there are faces, there are names, there are families, destinies brutally cut short, or forever shattered. Through my voice, the Swiss government wishes first and foremost to extend its most sincere condolences to the families and all those close to the victims, even though no words can truly fill the immense void left by such a sudden and brutal loss.
French President Emmanuel Macron offered full solidarity and fraternal support to Switzerland, while the UK embassy confirmed consular staff are on standby to assist any affected British nationals. Meanwhile, witnesses described scenes of unimaginable chaos, injured partygoers being carried into nearby bars, smoke and flames consuming the building, and the desperate struggle to navigate narrow staircases.
Actually, we were partying with my friends, and suddenly one of my friends told me there had been an explosion at Les Constellations. It was around 1:30 a.m. when I heard that.
We heard this whole thing.
When he was really starting to go out. The people.
You had everyone helping, they were carrying. Well, basically the idea was just to move people away from the bottom. Afterwards, it kind of happened in 3 phases. The first phase was getting people out from the bottom. The second phase was to put them in the year 1900 at the cafe that's just next door. And the goal was to keep it warm. The thermal shock, I think, was one of the main problems we encountered. And then after that, we moved everyone. Everyone was moved to UBS, where it was warmer, there was more space, and then more light, greater sense of brightness. We can see that now, gradually everyone who was, let's say, less serious.
Authorities have opened a reception center and emergency helpline for desperate families, but warn the wait for answers will be agonizing. The severity of the burns is such that identifying victims could take weeks, prolonging the anguish for those still searching for their loved ones. Les Constellations was a bar that could hold up to 300 people, popular with both locals and tourists. On New Year's Eve, it was likely packed with revelers celebrating the start of a new year, with laughter and music replaced by screams and terror in an instant.
400 were there.
From the catastrophe, the race is on to save the wounded and reckon with unbearable loss. In Crans-Montana, grief has replaced celebration, and the scars of the night will not fade quickly. In the heart of the serene Alps, the tragedy stands as a brutal reminder that even the safest places can be shattered in an instant.
Well, Gonna show a couple more videos.
One of the teen victims, Emmanuel Galappini, an up-and-coming golf talent, loved by his family. They, along with countless others, now demanding answers. CBS News foreign correspondent Remy Inocencio reports.
Sparklers on champagne bottles killed at least 40 people and wounded at least 115 others by sparking the inferno at this bar on the night of New Year's Eve going into early New Year's Day. This is according to Swiss authorities, along with the prosecutor general, who said that the blaze began quickly and then spread quickly, ignited in the ceiling. They said that they interviewed 2 French managers along with the survivors who did manage to escape. They've been interviewed and they helped to understand specifically the, first off, internal configuration of the bar, both in the basement and upstairs, as well as the capacity, how many people were in it and how many people were supposed to be in it. In terms of the next steps at this press conference, they also talked about that. They said that the priority is on absolutely the families and on identifying their loved ones. At this point in time, we understand that at least 24 people, 24 people, are still unaccounted for, made up with French nationals along with Italian nationals, and they also have a third priority, and that is allowing the family, as they said, to mourn. In terms of the logistics, they are also going to be looking at what previous work was carried out in this bar recently, what materials were used. In particular, one witness told us that he noticed earlier this week that there is foam insulation in the ceiling, like what you might find in a music studio to muffle sounds. One witness told us that usually this ski resort town of Crans-Montana is someplace that's bustling.
She's burned. Did you see her red chest?
People are happy and joyful, but this has been changed over the past few days to one of mourning and one of tragedy, as people still try to identify many of their loved ones and hoping to reunite, hopefully with them alive, and tragically and likely with many dead. Back to you.
Okay, the person there that let that woman out, her chest was all red. It's all over the internet. Looks like her hair's burned. Part of her face, everything. He's the father.
What do you think about when you go to bed at night?
He was the father that was summoned by his daughter, please come help. And he broke the window to the right of the exit where people were piled on top of each other, just like the station in 2003, where 70 adults perished in Rhode Island in the wintertime, snow all around them. And I believe it was Whitesnake was playing, those guys with their long hair, and a band from the 80s. So, and that footage is just horrific, you guys. I saw it. I won't even show it to my daughter. She doesn't even want to see it. You can see people reaching and stuck and screaming, and seconds are going by, and then you can't see them. They're covered in flames. Trigger warning. I better put that up. I should have had it up earlier. Anyway, the people that were closest to the band at this little dive bar in Rhode Island called The Station, and closest to the stage and all that, they're the ones that couldn't get out. And in fact, the bass player of the band died. The owners of the bar, I don't believe, were in trouble. I looked at some of the footage. This was in 2003, some of the court proceedings for the people that traveled with the band that did the pyrotechnics. They didn't have little sparklers in champagne bottles like this Swiss fire. And the reason the waitresses were hoisted in this Swiss resort up on the shoulders of some men, and they held up the bottle, and that's what happened. But some people thought it was part of the New Year's Eve, whatever. Nobody really thought it was real or a problem. They show one kid taking a shirt and trying to hit it, make the fire go away. Yeah. So, but the station fire was really, really awful. All the other band members got out. But yeah, and 48 Hours did a program on it. And when I heard about this fire, and it was in a wooden building in wintertime, I instantly thought of the fire in Rhode Island, the Station Bar, which, no longer. Now it's some kind of memorial place.
By the Daily Mail, at least 40 people were killed and more than 100 injured when a devastating fire tore through a packed nightclub at the Crans, Montana ski resort. What began as a celebration turned into a deadly inferno within seconds.
Father that helped
As
10
reported by
escape.
the Daily Mail, among the chaos emerged an unlikely hero, Paolo Campolo. A 55-year-old Swiss-Italian financial analyst raced to the burning Le Constellation nightclub after receiving a desperate phone call from his teenage daughter, who told him her boyfriend and friends were trapped inside. According to eyewitness accounts cited by Swiss media, Campolo arrived to find the main entrance blocked by panicked clubbers trying to escape through a single narrow staircase. Fire crews were already on the scene, but dozens of young people remained trapped inside the smoke-filled basement. The Daily Mail reports that Campolo spotted a side emergency door that was not being used. Working with another man, he forced it open with his bare hands. Almost immediately, injured teenagers began spilling out, some burned, some barely conscious, all desperately gasping for air. Speaking from his hospital bed, Campolo told Italian newspaper Il Messaggero that what he saw behind the door would stay with him forever. He described seeing bodies on the floor, some alive, some unconscious, and said the young victims were begging for help in several languages. As reported by Il Messaggero, Campolo ignored the pain, smoke, and danger as he pulled at least 10 young people out one by one. He didn't think, he said. I just pulled kids out with my bare hands. He was later treated for smoke inhalation. Authorities confirmed that many of the victims were teenagers. According to Valais Regional Police, the injured include citizens from Switzerland, France, Italy, Serbia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Belgium, Portugal, and Poland. Several victims remain unidentified due to the severity of their burns. Investigators now believe the fire was likely caused by sparklers attached to champagne bottles. Prosecutors told Swiss media that sparks ignited foam soundproofing panels on the ceiling, causing flames to spread rapidly as partygoers continued dancing, unaware of the danger. The nightclub's owners have defended the venue's safety, claiming inspections were conducted and regulations followed. However, the Valais Attorney General has warned that potential charges, including negligent homicide, are being considered if safety violations are confirmed. As Switzerland mourns the loss of dozens of young lives, Paolo Campolo's actions stand out amid the tragedy. A father who ran toward the flames, not knowing if he would make it out. While investigations continue, his bravery has become a rare moment of light in a night defined by unimaginable loss.
Good grief. So I'm going to end with my live that I did last night. If I missed your comment, they're not all coming in for some odd reason. So let me find where a professor has something to say about possible charges on these owners. Listen closely to what this professor has to say. The sound gets better.
It's entirely possible to evade every line of movement, till run a death trap. And the Constellation is being described by its owners as compliant, inspected, and within regulations. Reuters reports that Jacques Moretti said the venue was checked 3 times in a decade and was compliant. The Times likewise reports their claim of compliance while noting the investigation is examining ceiling materials, exits, and the use of sparklers. If that proves true, then the fire becomes even more frightening because it would demonstrate that the standards are not fit for the kind of risk the venue was actually carrying. Safety rules are not holiness codes, they are minimums. They are negotiated compromises between liberty, cost, tradition, lobbying, and what regulators think people will tolerate. So when a venue says we broke no rules, the correct response is not case closed. The correct response is that the rules failed. And this matters because public instinct after mass tragedy swings between 2 fantasies. One is the fantasy of the solitary victim, the other is the fantasy of a perfect system in which compliance equals safety. The first produces scapegoats, the second produces complacency. Both are illusions. Across multiple reports, a working theory is emergent that there was a fountain candle style sparkler on champagne bottles that were held close to the ceiling, igniting material overhead, producing a rapid, overwhelming fire. This is grimly familiar. Indoor pyrotechnics plus a low ceiling plus combustible interior treatments is the classic recipe for flash fire and toxic smoke. Once that dynamic begins, the question stops being, did you have a fire extinguisher, and becomes, can 150 people escape in seconds? That is an architectural question, not a procedural one. And it's precisely here that the rule books are weakest. They often regulate objects and paperwork more readily than they can regulate the lived reality of panic, crush, and human reaction. One of the most disturbing details in the reporting is the suggestion that the basement operated like a nightclub but was officially classified in a way that meant lighter regulation. The Times reports concerns about loud classification being used to avoid strict nightclub safeguards. If that is accurate, it illustrates a wider policy failure. Regulators frequently police labels rather than functions, but risk doesn't care what a form says. Risk cares about density, exits, ceiling height, materials, ignition sources, and crowd behavior. Then there is inspection frequency. 3 times in 10 years is not nothing, but it's not exactly a drumbeat of scrutiny either. If the venue's use, crowd size, or interior fit-out changed in between, an old inspection becomes the safety equivalent of an expired passport, reassuring to look at, useless at border. Rules say you must have an emergency exit or you must have multiple exits over capacity X, often fail in 2 ways. First, the exit exists, but is not discoverable in panic. The Times reports that an emergency exit existed, but few people found it. That's not a trivial footnote. In a fast fire, an exit that is not instantly obvious for practical purposes is no longer an exit. Second, the exit is technically sufficient, but physically unusable under crush conditions. Narrow stairs, sharp turns, doors that bottleneck, crowd surges, people falling. These are predictable. If the system doesn't assume predictable human chaos, it's not a safety system. It's theatre. And fireworks, we must identify
you remove, you refuse service, you throw them out. If the venue's business model depends on glamour cues that flirt with catastrophic risk, that is not festive, that is negligent aesthetics. The reporting repeatedly suggests the crowd was heavily teenage with allegations about underage entry and alcohol being served to minors. The Times reports many victims were underage teens and witnesses estimating a very young crowd, and one reason why the reports about who has died have been so slow. Even if the legal position turns out to be more complex, the ethical issue is clear. When you run a venue that attracts minors, your safety duties should increase, not decrease. Teenagers take longer to recognize danger. They're more likely to freeze, more likely to film, more likely to follow the herd to a fatal crash. That's not moralizing. That is basic developmental psychology and crowd science. If your clientele skews young, your compliance posture should be stricter than the code, not looser. If this tragedy teaches anything, it's that modern public safety has to be performance-based, not checklist-based. In practice, that means reforms like these. 6 reforms. Treat basements like basements. Any underground venue with dance floor density should meet the highest standard, whatever its label. If it functions like a club, regulate it like a club. There should be zero tolerance for indoor pyrotechnics and sparklers in crowded venues, not discouraged, not allowed with permission, prohibited with meaningful enforcement. Hard rules on interior finish and ceiling treatments. If acoustic foam or similar material is used, it must meet stringent fire performance, smoke toxicity, and installation standards. Investigators are already focusing on ceiling materials, which tells you how central this is. Exit usability tests, not exit existence. That should be the standard, requiring crowd flow modeling, visible wayfinding, and periodic drills for staff, with penalties if an exit cannot be found quickly by unfamiliar patrons. Capacity must be live and enforceable. A posted number on the wall is not controlled. Use entry counting, door staff empowered to stop entry, and penalties at earth. Inspection regimes need to match the risk. High density venues should have regular inspections and also unannounced checks tied to peak dates like New Year's Eve. Switzerland's reputation for order can become a comforting myth. A resort economy breeds indulgence, tourists on holiday, staff under pressure, owners chasing margins, local authorities reluctant to disrupt commerce. That's how its fine becomes a funeral. So yes, it is conceivable that the owners broke no safety rules. If that is what the investigation finds, it doesn't absolve the system, it indicts it. Because the only safety rule that matters is the one written in the simplest language possible. When the ceiling catches fire, people must be able to get out. Reuters reports the working theory that sparklers ignited a rapid spreading blaze. If that can happen in a venue that is compliant, then compliance has been mistaken for safety, and that is the real scandal.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Hit the like if you're willing to. Feel free to tip your hostess here if you'd like. I'm Brood Awakening, not Rude Awakening, Brood Awakening in Washington State. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. This is an educational video to I just wouldn't personally go to any bar or restaurant where things like this are lit. And apparently, if you see, sparklers and those kinds of things, apparently, if you see a fire, you don't sit there and film it. You don't scream, because that will cause attention and you may not be able to get out. You see a fire, you instantly exit quietly. Of course, tell your friends and that kind of thing, but you don't want to cause the herd mentality where you can't get out. And again, always know where your exits are, whatever building you're in. Thank you. Love you guys. Thanks to my new subscribers. Appreciate you all. prayers for all of the victims that have passed away and their families, and for the ones suffering in the hospital beds. Because when they do come out of their coma, they're going to be in shock with the way they look, with the way they feel. And apparently with the 6 months, weeks, and up to 6 to 9 months, they said on the news of healing, and later on the skin graft surgeries that'll have to be done. So sad. And it's all over Europe. It's all over the world. People from all over the world need prayers. Thank you.